Podcast. Rise Life Services presents Talk to Me, hosted by the Enrichment Experience Suicide Prevention Program. Enjoy the talk. Our disclaimer: Aid to the Developmentally Disabled Inc., DBA, Rise Life Services. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Rise Life Services. The material and information presented here is for general discussion purposes only. Rise Life Services, name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, with no intent to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything. In addition, it does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. The information provided and discussed is not for professional advice. Rise Life Services is not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast. You should always consult with your own personal mental health provider and/or professional prior to taking any action based upon information presented. If you are thinking about suicide, struggling with substance use, experiencing a mental health crisis, or any other kind of emotional distress, you can call, text, or chat the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, connecting you to trained crisis counselors 24/7. In case of an emergency, call 911.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our podcast. Today, the podcast topic would be advice you would give to your younger self. So what would your advice be?
I would say, the advice that I would give to my younger self would definitely be to stay true to yourself and just not let other people change who you are. I feel like there's a lot of pressure, especially when you're younger, to be a certain way or do certain things. You know, there's a lot of pressure from all angles, and it's hard to kind of lose yourself in all that noise. So, while I definitely understand my younger self a bit for getting caught up in that, I think it's really important not to, because, you know, when you stay true to yourself, you're keeping all those parts of you that are really awesome, and you learn to appreciate those parts of you instead of shoving them down and trying to be somebody else, you know?
That's a very, very great advice. Very great point. Because I would also just say that to not try to fit in so bad, to just be yourself, and your friends will come along as time goes on. What would you say?
I would say to live more in the present moment, just due to a lot of us being young, being caught up on what's going on in the world, with what our friends have to say, what we have to do in the future. But I think being more present in the moment and just experiencing your own memories with yourself, and just knowing that you're doing so much for your future self, instead of just focusing on what you can do in the future, but being present and helping your future self by being present, and just knowing that you're doing so much more than just thinking about other things. And then now when you're older, you're going to look back and say, wow, I really did live for myself and not for what I wanted myself in the future. I think just being yourself and really experiencing your own person.
I really like that, because, and I like what you said about being true to yourself in that moment does help future you, because you know, if you keep worrying about all that, you know, one day it is going to be future you. You're going to be like, oh man, I've spent all this time just totally stressing out. And, you know, I think, like you said, if you're more in the moment, living for the present, you're more able to really appreciate and understand maybe the things happening around you and, you know, inside you and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And that takes a lot of pressure off of your back about all the future expectations that everyone has for you, but not to take away about living in the moment. But a part of you should also worry somewhat about your future, to have those hopes and dreams to look forward to. That is what pushes you to keep going and keep working hard for those kind of dreams.
I like you said that too, because it's important to have those goals and those big dreams that motivate you and push you forward, and then at the same time, like you were saying, being present and just trying to be confident in knowing that what you're doing is gonna get you there, and just trusting in that process. And
Exactly. Trust the process, because you also have to have balance in your day-to-day life and your personal life by like doing things that you enjoy while taking care of yourself and doing your responsibilities.
Yeah, I just backing up on what you said, I just think most of us get to the point in our lives where we start overthinking, but like how you said, balance does equal everything out, and just knowing that what you're doing right now for yourself is also helping your future self.
Yeah.
Instead of overthinking, just know what you're doing is okay and doing what's right, which pushes you to your goals and to what you want in your life. I'd say that.
Yes.
that's amazing.
Exactly. That's some great advice, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope our younger self would appreciate the people that we are now. I know my younger self would probably be very proud and surprised at my life choices. But we just gotta give ourselves grace and be appreciative of the life we gave ourselves. That like we're so young and we're still gonna get to the goals that we're still working towards, but
I think
Yeah.
a good piece of advice would be just writing yourself a letter to your future self.
oh, I love that.
And just always looking back on what you had in that moment and what you did in that moment, and just reflect now that you're older and have so many more things to give to yourself. And I just think a good letter would just really show how much you've grown in yourself, how much self-growth and self-improvement you've made over the years. And I think just looking back to like such a letter that you wrote to yourself would just make you feel very accomplished and so many things that you've done for yourself.
I really love that. I'm definitely gonna go do that at home. That's a great idea.
I like I really like what you both said, because I think also there's to backtrack to your point on giving yourself grace is really important. On one hand, I think we all have moments where we look back in our past and we like cringe really, really
Oh, yeah.
hard. But you don't grow on that. Like the fact that you're cringing at yourself is evidence that you've grown from that
Exactly.
person. And I think sometimes you get hung up on maybe a mistake or a certain thing, and it's just important to, like Caitlin said, give yourself grace. And then with that letter, it's incredible to see that. I did that when I was in college. They had us write one when we started and one when we left. And it's really, that you're so right. It's really incredible because you get a snapshot of you in the past and you are able to see that growth. And maybe it might make it a little easier to recognize your own wins a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I think that.
I agree.
And I think that's an amazing thing that you said, and especially even if you're like in high school, a good one. And in high school, you can write your own letter for college, and then from college to when you get your new internship, and when you get to your new internship to something new in life that you have. And as you're growing, I think like every little bit, you can just write yourself a letter and just see how much you've grown over the years, and just keep those letters as memories of how everybody has grown as yourself. And it just shows so much improvement, as you said, when you see all those cringy moments. Sometimes I look back to my cringy moments and I'm like, wow, like I really was cringy, but I was still a kid and I was literally living in the moment. And sometimes I think just those memories make us grow as a person a lot.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
It's so fun. I mean, and it kind of comes back full circle to like the worrying thing, right? Because you might look back at one of those letters, let's say like when you were in college and you're like super stressed out about maybe getting a job afterwards or something, right? And then you look back, you know, when it's time, maybe you have a job or you've been working, and you might go, I can't believe I was worried about that, you know? It makes sense back then, but looking back sometimes you go, oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's funny how things played out, you know?
Exactly. You could be stressing about something that in the moment it's so big, but then you look back at it and it's really not as big as you thought it was. It's like there's bigger problems around the world, or that you'll realize later on in life than the ones that you thought were in that moment.
And some of those cringy moments and mistakes become things you can sometimes laugh at, you know, later on. I definitely have plenty of those.
Yeah, and that's a way that's a way of learning. That's a way to just live by learning through all those cringy moments and mistakes. But so yeah, that wraps up another episode of our Talk to Me podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and if you've enjoyed this podcast, please listen to our previous ones on Spotify and YouTube. Thank you, stay safe, stay connected, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
That wraps up another episode of Talk to Me. We hope today's conversation brought insight, encouragement, or maybe just a moment of reflection. Remember, your voice matters, and we're here to keep the dialogue going. Whether you're part of the Rise community or just tuning in, we're grateful to have you with us. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast platform and stay connected at riselifeservices.org, online for mental health support, services, updates, resources, and future episodes. Until next time, take care of yourself, support each other, and keep talking. Thanks for listening to Talk to Me. If you are thinking about suicide, struggling with substance use, experiencing a mental health crisis, or any other kind of emotional distress, you can call, text, or chat the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, connecting you to trained crisis counselors 24/7. In case of an emergency, call 911.